Hello students, a very good afternoon to all and welcome to daily newspaper analysis of 6th of May. So these are the 5 important articles for us for today. The first very important article is related to the weakening of democratic space in India. So basically this is related to the restriction on the freedom of speech and expression in India. Second article is related to the bulldozer justice. So basically, this article is saying that mostly due process of law is not being followed in India, and there is a tilt towards the immediate justice and what we call as bulldozer justice. Next article is related to the industrial heat pumps. So this article is suggesting a solution for the pollutions which is created by the factories as well as industries in India. Yes. Next article is related to increasing the strength of Supreme Court judges in India. So here we shall be discussing what is the main procedure to increase the judges of Supreme Court, and second thing that how judges of Supreme Court are appointed. And next interesting article is related to meta materials. So here we shall be discussing that there are some kind of materials which can adapt to changes. Although they are artificial, they are the artificial thing, but then also they can adapt to the conditions similar like the living things. So this is the first article. The article says silencing academia, that is weakening the democratic space. So first of all, let's discuss this article in brief. See, first of all, tell me that what is the meaning of democracy? What is the meaning of democracy? Can I say that good democracy is equal to elections? No. Elections are the part of democracy, but you cannot say that if we want democracy, then elections will be conducted. So apart from elections, other things are also part of good democracy. So what are those parts? So apart from elections, what all things are required for good democracy? You need freedom of speech and expression. Freedom of speech and expression. So here, if you want a functional democracy in a particular country, then apart from elections, there must be freedom of speech and expression. There must be free media. There must be civil society. There must be freedom to debate. There must be freedom to ask questions. This is the actual meaning of democracy in India, or democracy for that matter in any country. Understand this with a very simple example. For example, I'm taking example of school. If a student is not agreeing with what the teacher is teaching, then if the student is able to ask the question easily or able to question that easily, this is the meaning of the freedom of speech or the freedom of speech and expression. But if that student is not asking question because of the fear of punishment, this is called the restriction on the freedom of speech and expression. So this complete article is related to that only. So here I took the example of school, but mainly the article is discussing about the academia, that is the university level. And why the university is very important? Because university is the place where the research happens, where the debate happens, where the questions are asked. So that's why the article is mainly focusing that government is regulating more and more the academia institutions like university, and hence the freedom of speech and expression is under restriction in India. Okay, so now let's discuss the article completely. So I am saying all these things based on the two recent reports. The first report is the Varieties of Democracy Institute Report 2026, and this report has classified India as an electoral autocracy. Electoral autocracy means elections are happening in India, but still the freedom of speech and expression is being curtailed. So what is the meaning of that? What is the meaning of those type of elections if you are not allowing your citizens to speak or you are not allowing them to question? So this is the meaning of electoral autocracy. And this report, that is the Varieties of Democracy Institute Report 2026, has classified India as the electoral autocracy, and it placed India among the worst autocratizers. Autocratizers means they are not allowing the citizens of India to speak or to ask questions. Second report, we have the Scholars at the Risk Report 2026. It classifies India as having completely restricted academic freedom. completely restricted academic freedom means there is restricted universal or university autonomy. Restricted university autonomy means the entire government in India is not allowing university to function in the autonomous or independent manner. What is the reason for that? Because of some political interferences, because of the funding pressure, because of the self censorship. Self censorship means the people are not asking question because of the fear of punishment only. They don't even know that what will happen, but just because of the fear of punishment, the people are not asking questions. So if you are restricting the autonomy of institutes like the university, where the entire research happens, where all kind of debate happens, then how the democracy will be functional in India? Next, the article discusses about the proposed Viksit Bharat Shiksha Adhishtan bill. So basically, what was the purpose of this bill? This bill replaces the other regulatory bodies, for example, UGC or AICTE. So this bill proposes that there must be an umbrella body, a centralized body, which will see the overall higher educational governance in India. So the article says that if you are centralizing the education subject more and more, then basically you are trying to impose a single ideology on each and every institute in India. And this is also one part of restricting freedom of speech and expression in India. Next, the article says that the faculties in the universities are treated as the government servants. So if you are treating faculty as the government servants, then basically the faculties will deliver all those things which are in line with the government of India. So it will not be so it will be politically biased in nature, and it will not be impartial. Next, it raises concerns over the weakening internal complaints committee in the universities. So see, these internal complaints committee are very powerful because they are statutory body. They are formed under a particular law. And what was their purpose? Their main purpose was the grievance redressal and the institutional accountability. But they are also weak because they are also under the political pressure, and hence they are not able to deliver justice. Here, a very important thing which is mentioned in the article is about the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. Why this Covenant on Civil and Political Rights is important? Because India is party to it since 1979. And more than this covenant, what is important? Its first optional protocol to ICCPR. So what is the first optional protocol to International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights? If a particular country has signed this protocol, then the citizens of those countries can directly go to Human Rights Committee when they are not satisfied with the grievance redressal in their own home country. So since India has not signed this protocol, hence the citizens of India cannot directly go to United Nations Human Rights Committee. So this was very important thing which India could have signed. Okay, so now let's quickly discuss about the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. So the name only suggests it protects the civil and political rights of citizens. So basically, this was adopted by United Nations General Assembly, and it came into force in 1976. Please remember that India is part of this covenant, and here this, along with the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, these three are considered as International Bill of Human Rights. So a simple thing can be directly asked in exam, that this, along with Universal Declaration of Human Rights, along with this International Covenant, all these three are considered as the International Bill of Human Rights. But more than this, important is the first protocol of ICCPR. What is the purpose of first optional protocol? If a country has signed this first optional protocol, then citizens of those country can directly go to United Nations Human Rights Committee, and if they are not satisfied with the remedial measures in their own country. So this was the complete article. Now, here next important article is the bulldozer justice. So here article discusses that how this bulldozer justice undermines law. So first of all, let's discuss briefly about the complete article. Now, please understand in very simple manner. For example, a person A is accused of a crime. Okay, consider a situation, a person A is accused of a crime. Now, please answer this question. Can you punish person A? So, can you punish person A? Yes or no? So, answer will be no. Why I cannot punish person A? Because being accused is not equal to being guilty of a particular crime. So, if you are not guilty, then I cannot directly punish you. So, why I cannot punish you? Because still it is not proved that that person is guilty or not. Now, consider a situation that even in this condition, when the crime is not yet proved and when the person is not yet proven guilty, even in this condition, what government officials do? Government officials demolishes the house of person A just because he was accused. And this thing only is known as bulldozer justice. Bulldozer justice means the instant justice steps which are taken by the government authorities even when the crime is not yet proven. So this thing will be overall discussion in the article, that how it is undermining the due process of law. Now, before coming to the complete article, first of all, tell me, if I go through a legal procedure, then what will be the complete steps from the accusation to final punishment? See, for example, if a particular person, that is person A, is accused of a crime, so what will happen? First of all, investigation will happen, right? First of all, you have to investigate that how those things happen, who was responsible. So these investigation will be conducted by the executive authorities. After investigation is done, trial will happen in the courts, and these trials will be done under courts. After trial is done, final judgment will be given. And who will give final judgment? Judgment will be given by the judiciary, and this judgment of judiciary will be in the line of the law which is made by the Parliament of India. And finally, when the judgment is given, so finally the punishment will be given by the executive authorities. So this is the complete flow, how everything works. That if a person is accused of a crime, so all these things will happen, and all these kind of authorities will be included in this complete process. So this is the legal process. Bulldozer justice is not the legal process, because in bulldozer justice, executive is just taking the immediate action. So this is only article is discussing that whenever a person is accused, you must follow the law. Law means you must follow due process of law. That means all the legal things which has to be done, because accused person is not equal to the guilty person. So first of all, you have to provide the evidences. First of all, you have to prove that a particular person is guilty or not. So bulldozer justice is not following the due process of law, and it is against the due process of law. So this is the complete thing which has been discussed in the article. Now let's come towards the article. So here, basically, first of all, article discusses about the bulldozer justice. So what is the meaning of this? It refers to the use of demolition of houses or properties by the state or the executive authorities as a form of immediate punitive action. And this is against the accused person. You haven't proven that person was guilty or not. So this is the punitive action. Punitive action means the action which is taken after committing anything. So after a person came in the news that no, this he or she was accused person, immediately state took the action. So this was even before the judicial determination, means even judiciary have not given the final judgment. So this thing happened just before that. So here the article says that bulldozer justice undermines a due process of law, and due process law is a core principle of Constitution of India. Due process of law means every legal process must have to be followed line by line so as to ensure the complete justice. And this bulldozer justice, the article is linking with the Turkman Gate demolitions of 1976. See, Turkman Gate demolitions of 1976, this is a very unfamous case during the emergency period in India. So what happened in this case? The police authority, the government authorities killed a lot of people in the area of Old Delhi because they were protesting against the displacement of the peoples in slum area. So the article is relating the bulldozer justice with Turkman Gate demolitions. Now, the article says that bulldozer justice has now become a political symbol of instant justice. So, the police or the public authority is not following the complete legal process. The people are just, the police authorities are just trying to give the instant justice. So, here what is happening? Here, the main issue will be that this complete thing is against the separation of power. Separation of power. Why separation of power? Why it is against separation of power? Because just now we discussed that whenever complete investigation or trial happens, all these authorities are involved, executive also, parliament also, judiciary also. But if you are providing instant justice in the form of bulldozer justice, then it is against the separation of power, because here state is assuming the role of investigator also, judge also, as well as executioner also. And separation of power is an important part of the basic structure of constitution. Now, article says why all these things are happening, why the executives or why the police authorities are forced to give the instant justice. The reason here is the judicial delays, because since judiciary don't have so much time to deal each and every case, giving a lot of time to a particular case, and around 5.5 crore pending cases are there across Indian courts. So that's why various times people seek instant justice, because they know the court proceedings may take 3 years, 5 years, or sometimes 10 years also. And the article cites the Law Commission recommendation also. According to the Law Commission of India, there must be around 50 judges per 1 million population. But at present, India have only 15 judges. So what Law Commission says, for 1 million population, India must have 50 judges. But at present, we have 15 judges. So that's why pendency increases, and that's why people are resorting more and more to the form of instant justice. Now, next the article says about the majoritarian populism influencing criminal justice in India. That means the article is saying the action of the state or action of police authorities are driven by the public anger, are driven by the public ideology rather than the due process of law. So this is not a good thing. Instant justice is not a good thing, because you don't even know what thing actually happened, and you don't even know which person was actually guilty. So here it wants the executive overreach, which is weakening the institutional credibility, because the executive overreach means if executive is doing something against the separation of power. So executive is assuming the role of the judiciary also. And because of this, the public trust in the courts will gradually weaken. So what are the recommendations of the article? First important recommendation is the judicial reforms. That means you must increase the number of judges. You must do the constitutional amendment under Article 124 so that number of judges can increase. Second, the existing vacancies which are there, you must fill the existing vacancies so that number of judges per million can increase from 15 to 50. Next, there must be fast track courts for most critical and heinous crimes, so that justice delivery can be very, very fast. And finally, the better investigations, because see, if investigations are good, if all the evidences are put in front of the court in less time, then this complete process of justice delivery will take very less time, and hence the trust of people in the judiciary and trust of people in due process of law can increase. Now, a very important article related to industrial heat pumps. So, industrial heat pumps are seen as a solution for the industrial solution. So, first of all, let's discuss briefly about the overall scenario, why we are discussing this. See, if I am talking about, see, if we are discussing about the industrial pollution, so whenever we are discussing about the industrial pollution, so first thing which comes in our mind is the factories. Why factories? Because these are the units which are producing heat, and how this heat is produced? This heat is produced by burning the fossil fuels. So whenever we are discussing about the industrial pollution, so basically we discuss about the pollution created by fossil fuels. Why fossil fuels? Because these fossil fuels are used in the factories to produce heat. Now, what is the basic purpose of this heat? So this heat can have variety of purposes. For example, heating chemicals, or for example, drying textiles, or no, for example, no, boiling water in the boiler, etc., etc. So basically, this heat can be used in variety of functions. Now, the main problem here is that this is a fact that in all these factories heat will be required, and if you want heat, fossil fuels will be burned. Problem here is burning of fossil fuels will produce a lot of pollution, and it will emit various kind of gases, for example sulfur dioxide, for example oxides of nitrogen, for example carbon dioxide, and all the emission of all these gases are not good for the environment. So here the article is saying that for all these things, heat pumps can be a solution. Heat pumps can be a solution. How heat pumps can be a solution, and what are these heat pumps? See, basically, heat pumps will not burn any fuel. No heat will be burned in heat pumps. Basically, what heat pumps will do, they will take heat from point A to point 2. Nothing they will do. So what is the main purpose of heat pumps? They will take heat wherever it is present. For example, heat might be present in air, heat might be present in water, heat might be present in the waste, which are produced by the industries or factories. So what heat pump will do, it will extract heat present in all these things, and it will move the heat inside the factory where it is required. So basically here, sorry, basically here we are not burning any kind of fossil fuel. We are just using the heat energy which is already available in different kind of things to the factories. And what is the purpose? Why we need heat pump? Because as you know that heat always moves from high temperature to low temperature. Means if we leave the heat as it is, basically heat will move from the high temperature to low temperature. But if we want to reverse the direction of the heat, or if we want to take the heat in any direction which we want, then for that purpose we will be needing the pumps. That's why it is called heat pump. So basically it works in the opposite manner to AC. For example, what is the work of AC? It will extract all the heat which is present in the room, and it will throw the complete heat outside. So that heat which is thrown outside, that heat will be extracted by heat pumps, and this heat will be transferred to point 1 to point 2 inside the factories. So this is the overall gist of the article. Okay, now let's discuss what all things article is discussing. Okay, so basically article is discussing about the industrial decarbonization. That means you have to reduce the carbon emissions inside the industrial processes. So article says that whenever we talk about the industrial decarbonization, first thing which comes in our mind is the green hydrogen. That let's use the green hydrogen because it is not a fossil fuel and it will not produce carbon. Or second thing what we think, that even if industries are producing carbon dioxide, let's capture it and let's store it. So these are the main two things whenever we talk about the industrial decarbonization. But the disadvantage of all these two technologies are, first, they are very expensive, and second, they are still not fully scalable, because no country in the entire world, you can say, that these two technologies are being used at the very just a second. Okay, so one student is asking, madam, what is green hydrogen? Okay, so just a second, let me explain this. So here, main point is, see, green hydrogen means the hydrogen which is produced using renewable energy. Because what happens in hydrogen, no, here you have to split the water molecule which contains hydrogen and oxygen. You have to split the water molecule, and to split the water molecule you need electricity. So if that electricity is coming from the fossil fuels, or for example natural gas, so that kind of hydrogen you will call as gray hydrogen. But if we are talking about green hydrogen, then each and every kind of electricity which is used in the split of water molecule, that so if the all kind of electricity is renewable, then that particular hydrogen will be called green hydrogen. So here the article is saying that both these technologies are good, but still they are very expensive, as well as still they are not fully scalable. And here a major overlooked issue is the low to medium temperature process heat. So here the article is saying that this is a fact that every industrial process or every factory process will be requiring heat. And what is the main purpose of heat? So purpose we already discussed about the drying, about the drying of clothes or the heating of chemicals, etc., etc. And in industrial process, we require the steam generation also. And for that steam generation, you have to burn fossil fuels, right? So when you burn fossil fuels, there will be emissions of carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, particulate matter, etc. And what will be the impact of all these kind of emissions? First will be climate change, obviously. Second will be air pollution, and third will be worker health risk. Because see, the workers who are working inside the factory, they are working under lot of high pressure, a high temperature. Because inside the factory you will be having many machines, and those kind of machines will also be emitting the heat energy. And apart from machines, other processes will also generate a lot of heat. So workers inside the factory work under very high temperature, which can pose health risk to these workers. Next, the article is mainly focusing on the MSMEs, because MSMEs contribute to around 17% of industrial emissions in India. Why we are mainly focusing on MSMEs? Because these any MSME is not that financially strong, so that it can no contribute a lot of money in reducing pollution. And this is a fact that MSME contributes around 17% of the industrial emissions. So that's why article is proposing the industrial heat pump as a solution. So we already discussed what is the main purpose of industrial heat pump. So basically it will not burn any fossil fuel. It will just extract the heat from wherever it is possible, and it will move the heat from one point to another. So basically article is saying that heat pumps have coefficient of performance of around 3 to 5. Coefficient of performance means, for example, if we are using 1 unit of electricity to move the heat from one point to second point, so using 1 unit of electricity, you can provide 4 units of heat. So using 1 unit of electricity, you can move 4 units of heat from one place to another. So this is the meaning of coefficient of performance. And if you are using just 1 unit of heat and producing and moving this unit, if you are using 1 unit of electricity and you are dealing with 4 units of heat, then that system is very, very efficient. So here article is saying that heat pumps can reduce total industrial emissions used by 40 to 60%. Why it can reduce the emissions? Because it is not burning any fuel. It is just using the waste heat energy into other industrial applications. It also says that heat pumps also support waste heat recovery. That means in various industrial processes, heat can be wasted in the form of exhaust, heat can be wasted in the form of chimney emissions, etc. So this heat pump can extract all those heat also, and can use in the industrial processes. Yes. So heat pumps can deal with heating also, cooling also, dehumidification also. So heat pump can deal with all these kind of processes. And if heat pump can do all these things, it can improve the thermal comfort for the workers. Because as we already discussed, that workers inside the factory works under very high temperature conditions. So if heat pumps can do cooling also, dehumidification also, it will be a lot of comfort for the workers. Because according to various reports, heat exposure to workers are related to the heat stroke, cardiovascular diseases, kidney diseases, etc. So high amount of heat or high temperature puts a lot of negative impact on the health of workers. Also, around 1.7 million premature deaths in India are due to fossil fuel driven air pollution. So heat pump will be a very good solution to deal with the environmental pollution, to deal with the climate change, as well as to improve the health of workers who are working inside the factories. Next. Next article is very, very important, especially for the prelims. So here the article is that cabinet has approved 4 more judges for the Supreme Court. So here basically article is talking about the increasing the strength of Supreme Court judges. So first of all, let's discuss a basic procedure, how the strength of Supreme Court judges can be increased. So first of all, what will happen? That cabinet will approve cabinet will approve this thing that okay, the number of Supreme Court judges have to be increased. After that, what will happen? Parliament will do an amendment. Parliament will amend the law. Amend the law, which law? Which deals with increasing the strength of Supreme Court judges. After the Parliament has amended the law, what will happen? The collegium will recommend the name of the judges. And the name of judges which are recommended by the collegium, these names will go to the President of India. And finally, President will finally appoint those judges which are whose name was provided by the collegium. So this is the complete process through which the strength of the High Court or Supreme Court judges can be increased. Now, let's discuss what the article has to say. So recently, the Union Cabinet of India has approved the increasing strength of Supreme Court judges of Supreme Court in India. So earlier, that strength was 34. So earlier it was Chief Justice of India plus 33 judges. Now it has been approved to 37 judges plus Chief Justice of India. So now total number of judges will be 38. So here it says that currently the strength is 34. Okay. So if you read the original constitution, that means if you read original article 24 clause 1, the article says that the strength of Supreme Court will be Chief Justice of India and 7 judges until and unless Parliament by law amend this strength. So if you read about the original constitution, so there the strength was Chief Justice of India plus 7 other judges. Now, over a period of time, this act, which we call as Supreme Court Number of Judges Act 1956, over a period of time, this act got amended by the Parliament of India and number of judges got increased. So, this act was last amended in 2019, and in that time, apart from Chief Justice of India, the number of judges were 31. So they were increased to 32. Now again, this act will be amended by the Parliament, and hence the number of judges apart from Chief Justice of India will become 37. So what is important for you? First important thing is the Supreme Court Number of Judges Act of 1956. So UPSC can simply ask whether there is any act which deals with the number of judges in the Supreme Court. So whether it depends on the discretion of Parliament or whether there is particular act. So we have an act which deals with the number of judges in the Supreme Court, and over a period of time this act has been amended so that number of judges can be increased. Second important thing for you is the Article 124 of the Constitution. So here, first of all, let's discuss about the article. This is Article 124 of the Constitution. Is it visible? Okay, so this is Article 124 of the Constitution. So this is clause 1. What clause 1 says? So see, this article, we already discussed that this article was amended in 2019 through Constitutional Amendment Act. So earlier, the article said that there must be Chief Justice of India as well as 7 judges. But since it was amended in 2019, it says there shall be Supreme Court of India consisting of Chief Justice of India until Parliament by law prescribes larger number of not more than 33 other judges. So earlier in the original constitution, it was Chief Justice of India plus 7 other judges. But over a period of time, the strength got increased. In 2019, it was made 33 apart from Chief Justice of India. Next, for you, clause 2 is also very important. What clause 2 says? Every judge of Supreme Court shall be appointed by the President of India. So important for you, who appoint judges of President, final appointment will be President of India by the warrant under his seal after consultation with such judges of Supreme Court and judges of High Court, and as the President may deem necessary for the purpose, and shall hold office until the age of 65 years. So for example, 124 clause 1 as well as 124 clause 2 is very, very important. Here, next thing article says that in case of appointment of judge other than Chief Justice of India should always be consulted. So basically, first thing what Article 124 says, that Parliament has the authority, that Parliament can increase the number of judges in Supreme Court through specific amendments. Clause 2 says that appointment will be done by the President of India, but for that, President of India has to consult a collegium or has to consult judges of Supreme Court or High Court, whichever is necessary. Now, if we talk about the collegium, So it is very important to know who all are the part of collegium. So if we talk about the judges of Supreme Court, then the collegium contains Chief Justice of India and 4 other senior most judges. So based on the recommendation of this collegium, which constitutes Chief Justice of India as well as 4 other judges, based on these recommendations, President of India will appoint the judges in Supreme Court. If we talk about the High Court, so High Court appointment for the High Court judges also have collegium. So there we have Chief Justice of High Court plus 2 senior most judges. Now, you have to tell me in the comment section whether the recommendation of this collegium of Supreme Court or High Court is binding on President or not. So tell me in the comment section whether their recommendation is binding. Second thing, tell me in the comment section that here we are discussing about the strength of Supreme Court. Tell me in the comment section what is the procedure if you want to increase the strength of the High Court judges. So these 2 things you have to tell me in the comment section. Now let's discuss other things. Yes, so article says that why this decision was taken. This decision was taken because of the number of increasing pendencies, number of increasing pending cases in Supreme Court, High Court, as well as the other district courts. So this thing we discussed in the topic of the bulldozer justice also, that why public is seeking instant justice, because resolving of particular case is taking a lot of time. So that's why the number of judges has been now increased. So here article says that this decision was taken because of the increasing pendency in cases. And why these pendencies are more increasing? Because now people have the option of the e-filing of cases. So here people don't have to go court, don't have to do any hassle. They just have to sit on just their laptop or computer, and they can just file the cases. So because of this ease also, the number of cases are increasing. And at present, we have 2 vacancies in Supreme Court, and even after retiring 3 more judges, more vacancies will be created. So that's why article is saying that because of this decision was taken so as to increase the strength of the judges in Supreme Court. Okay, so here article says after the parliament increases the judges' strength, Supreme Court collegium will recommend the name, and after this name is recommended, President of India will appoint the judges in the Supreme Court. So this was the complete article, and this topic is very, very important for the prelims. Now, here next important article is related to metamaterial. So here scientists build metamaterial that can learn to change shape. This word is very important, that can learn to change shape. See, let's discuss. Okay, so as you know that if we talk about the living things, so living things can adapt to their conditions. Living things can adapt means, for example, no, if you start living in a very dry area or in the desert area, so over a period of time your body will adapt to the water scarcity conditions. Or for example, if you put a plant in the sunlight, so gradually that plant will start showing phototropism. So all these things you have seen in the living things, right? But these things cannot happen with the artificial things or the artificial material. But this is an old view. According to a recent study, some kind of materials which we call as metamaterials, they can adapt to the changes which are happening in the surroundings. It sounds interesting, right? Because it has variety of applications also. So what recently scientists have done, what they have done, they have created a chain of small units. Okay, so what they have done, they have created chain of small units, and then what they will do, they will try to bend one unit. So for example, this is a chain, this is a chain of small units, and what I am doing, I am trying to bend a particular unit so that I can create a U shape after bending. Okay, so at present that material is not responding, but over a period of time, if you do it again and again, if you know again bend all the shapes, if you bend it into the U shape, then it will regain the shape, you will bend it in the U shape. Over a period of time, this material will learn to respond. And even after that, if you are not bending it into U shape, over a period of time, it automatically will become the U shape. So this is the meaning of learning. That based on the activities, based on the pressure which you are putting on the material over a period of time, this material will learn. okay, this was my previous shape and this is my final shape. That means I have to come to this final shape, final U shape. So that's why the material is learning from what all activities, what all pressure we are putting on that material. So this was the complete thing. So here the article discusses that traditionally only living things show adaptation, but now non-living things can also show adaptation. And these materials are called metamaterials. So what are metamaterials if it is asked in prelims? So these are the materials whose property depend on their structure and not on the composition. So let me explain what is the meaning of this. That means you cannot say that if a material is of particular composition, then every time it will show same kind of properties. No, it depends on what amount of pressure you are putting on that material, what amount of bending you are doing on that material. So based on that, it will respond to the surroundings. See, here, so basically the article is saying that for the metamaterials, these materials are designed as a chain of connected units. This I discussed, no, that these materials are designed as a chains. So each particular unit will be having a motor, an angle sensor, as well as microcontroller. So whenever I am trying to bend that unit, this angle sensor will sense it, and this angle sensor will learn that okay, next time if a person is trying to bend it, I will automatically change to that particular shape. So here what each unit is doing, each unit is communicating with its neighbor units, that okay, my neighbor unit is changing into U shape, then I will also change in it to U shape. So this system uses the contrastive learning. Okay, so basically this is the contrastive learning. And by repeatedly comparing these states, the material learns how to reach the target shape faster. So the materials are learning from their neighbor. So see, these materials are not having any brain, they are not using any software, just they are learning from these things, that okay, over a period of what these materials will do. First of all, if I am trying to change the shape of material, earlier this material was in this shape, now I'm changing it to U shape. What these materials will do, these materials will compare their original state with the final state, and over a period of time they will learn to how to change the shape or how to become flexible. So this is the meaning of physical learning. Physical learning means they are learning without any software or without any brain. Okay, and these metamaterials have the property of non-reciprocity also. Non-reciprocity means, for example, this is your metamaterial, and if I am pushing this material from the right side, results will be different. If I am pushing it from the left side, okay. If I am pushing it from the right, results will be different. From the left, results will be different. Now, what are the applications? See, they have very important applications in the prosthetic limbs. For example, a person has lost any part of his or her body, for example, legs or hands, then we use prosthetic limbs. So if we are making prosthetic limbs using metamaterials, then metamaterials can easily adapt to the conditions and easily provide the flexibility to the body so that it can work like the natural part of the body. For example, it can be used in the soft robotics. Soft robotics, that means the material can easily gain the flexibility if we are working in very small space. So it provides the flexibility, it provides the independency so that you can work in very small limited space, etc. Okay, so I think these were the metamaterials. So why I discussed this topic of metamaterials, because it can be simply asked in UPSC that metamaterials were recently discussed in the news. Which of the following is the correct explanation of metamaterials? So you must have an idea that what are these materials, how they can adapt to the conditions, etc. Now, a practice question for you. So with reference to Supreme Court of India, consider the following statements. The number of judges of Supreme Court is fixed by the Constitution. Parliament has the power to increase the number of judges of Supreme Court. The Chief Justice of India is included within the sanctioned strength of the court. So you have to tell me how many of the above statements are correct. So please go through the content once again, what we have discussed, and try to answer this question. Okay, so I